Hello, everyone. As I mentioned before, one of the hardest things covering this war, aside from the personal aspect for me, the fact that my parents lived there, is that there's never just like a good news day. There's always good news and bad news. Case in point. So we had some more attacks. 7 people were killed. Chasiv Yar is getting pounded. High-rise building was struck. So it's just horrible. And Chasiv Yar, this is one of the bad things about this, is that Chasiv Yar, well, it was a small town, only 12,000 people, but now it is a ghost town. And I agree with the governor there. Do not become a Russian target, evacuate. Do not give them more reasons to gloat and celebrate, because they do. If you look at Russian social media like the Telegram, Facebook, X, anywhere they haven't been banned from yet, anytime there is a post about another tragedy in Ukraine, more civilians killed, more children killed, more people left homeless, there is celebration from the Russian users. This is a developing story. Let's treat it as such, although the mode of operations goes with how Ukraine has been pursuing things. And I think bringing this closer to home for Russians, that being Moscow, is a good move. I mean, Russia's going to mercilessly pound Ukrainian civilians anyway, because there were people who said, well, anytime you launch a strike against anything in Russia, they're going to retaliate. Honey, they're going to retaliate anyway. They'll find an excuse, or they will retaliate without an excuse. So, might as well make them pay for it. So this is what they were talking about. There were fires at Moscow oil refinery and the Konakovo power station in the Tver region. That's one of the largest energy producers in central Russia. That's giving Russians a taste of their own medicine. How will they like it if one of their biggest energy centers is struck? Because remember, they've been destroying Ukrainian infrastructure. And every year, depending on the season, they're basically saying, we're either going to freeze them to death or we're going to roast them to death. So the fire at the Moscow refinery was assigned the highest level of complexity, and it should be, because here's the thing. All of these refineries that Ukrainians have been striking are big, complicated behemoths with a lot of flammable materials there. So it's no surprise that not only are they hard to protect because they're so big and sprawling, but once the fire starts, it's catching. I am reminded of the speech by Katniss Everdeen in Mockingjay Part 1. Fire is catching. If we burn, you burn. Well, apparently Russians thought that didn't pertain to them, so here you go. It does. Case in point, this is from one of the Ukrainian sources. This is true. And this is something those of us covering the war in Ukraine, and not just for the last 2.5 years, for the last 10.5 years, we've been saying this all along. This is more than just Ukraine. This is not just some kind of a small territorial squabble. And the only way to win this war is to look at it as a global level conflict that it is. We have already seen the global impacts, the ripple effect all over the world, affecting Russia's partners, affecting Ukraine's allies, and affecting those who choose to stay neutral because they start finding out, we might think we're neutral, but we're knee deep in this too. Case in point. This. What the heck? I mean, yeah, I know anybody who reads this title would be like, what the fuck are you even talking about? Where's Burkina Faso and where is Ukraine and where is Russia? How does that even compute? Here's how. So, we have talked several times over the course of the last 2.5 years that Russia has its hand in a lot of different pies, including in Africa, in this particular case, in West Africa. Burkina Faso is one of the countries where Russia helped organize a coup and put into place a militant government who is friendly to Russia. So, now that they've made a mess there, and now that things are getting tough at the home front, they are pulling people from there. Now, pulling 300 soldiers from that brigade is not going to do much. That's like 5 minutes worth of fighting when it comes to the war in Ukraine. But it's just one more piece of the puzzle. It's just another thing, another place, another country that is one way or another impacted by Russia and Russia's meddling in the affairs of other nations.